Welcome to Learning as We Go. My name is Serena, and today I'm going to talk to you about language arts and how my family utilizes the Thinking Tree products in our school, in our homeschool. So I am giving this information not to tell you this is how you do things, but just to show you how we do it, because I get asked pretty often how it is that we utilize these products and how we make them work for us. And I know there are so many within the library of the Thinking Tree. There are so many journals and offerings that sometimes it can seem overwhelming of like, where do you start? What book do I start with? And so my hope is that this series, because there will be other videos, I separated the topics for you. That way, if you've got math covered, you don't have to sit through me rambling about math. That this way you can just select the subject that you are looking to get some ideas about and go from there. So it all starts with their main journals. We vary between 4-day school weeks and 5-day school weeks. So it just totally depends on the week what our plans are and that kind of a thing. But I do have 4 days set out and the products that we will use on those days. So in the morning or towards lunchtime, sometimes we have late days so they sleep in, my kids will get up leisurely, they will slowly get dressed and get ready for the day, we'll have some breakfast, and then things kind of start off in a natural way. Either they'll take a book and they'll just look through their book to start off, or sometimes they get right into their journals. That part of it is completely up to them. I don't want to give them some strict rules about how they have to start schooling for the day. I let them kind of do what they want and have a bit of a flow with that. So once we're ready to start, they take their main journals. So I had these two handy. This is my son's. He is 8 years old going into grade 3. It's a pretty thick book. And this is my daughter. She is going into grade 5 and is 10 years old. Again, thick book. So they would do 3 to 5 pages out of their main journal to start off every single day. That is the one piece every single day that does not change. They do 3 to 5 pages in their main journal. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then on the weeks where there's 5 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay, so that is how it starts every single day. And it's not monotonous because the pages they do are different. Because they're doing 3 to 5, every single day is a new page. So now we've got 4 days to talk about. If we are doing a 5-day work week, one of those days is called a free day. What that means is that we have some books that are not set strict in our curriculum that they can just pull from and use for that day. So they have choice. They can choose to do spelling time. They can choose to do 100 words. We also have the dinosaur version. They can choose to do the spelling journal, which they usually do because there are word searches. And by word search, I mean you search your house. It's like a treasure hunt. And they love this one. And they also have these. Okay, so that's just what I would consider extra books. They're there in the pile, and they can choose from those on that 5th day. If we do a 5th day, which we do. We usually do, it's usually half and half of two 4-day weeks a month and 2 5-day weeks. So that would be that 5th day. So for the other 4 days, this is how it will run. One of those days will involve the children working on their series version of spelling time. There are 3 levels, A, B, and C. My youngest, who is almost 6, will have level A. My middle child, who is 8, will have level B. And my oldest, who is 10, will have level C. Depending on the level, they will either have 1 page to do or 5 pages to do. And level C is 5 pages. So once a week, they are going to work on 1 letter. So for my daughter, when she is doing, say, O, she is going to do 5 pages that day because that's what's in her book. So 1 day out of the week. So let's say Monday. Though this does change, I don't have strict rules about which of the 4 days this has to happen, as long as it happens for one of them. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to say that this is Monday. So on Monday, my kids would start by doing 3 to 5 pages out of their main journals, and then they would open up spelling time and do the corresponding pages for the letter of that week. After this is done, we would have reading time together where we would read about any variety of subject we choose. It could be a history topic, it could be a science topic, it could be a silly topic. It doesn't matter as long as we are reading together. And that is our language arts for Monday. On Tuesday, again, like I'm saying, I don't control, like, it has to be Monday, it has to be Tuesday. I'm only doing that for the sake of this video. Just know that as long as this happens at some point during the week, I'm fine with that, okay? So for Tuesday, it would be poetry day, okay? So each of my children has one of these levels, with my youngest having level A, my middle child having level B, and my oldest having level C, and they would each do the corresponding pages for that day. So for A, let's say, it would be about reading the poem. She could do the coloring, and then either both of these page or one, and then the following week continuing on. But I like to try and keep it where they do all of the corresponding pages for that day. But it doesn't have to be like that, okay? But this is just making sure that there's enough language arts happening on that day. So after they would do the poem of that week for that day, we would again do reading together. But on that day, we're gonna read poems together, okay? And depending on how my kids are feeling, I might have them write their own poem as well. But I don't enforce. If they seem to be wanting to do that, then we add it in there. If that week is just they're not feeling it that week, then we don't. But we will read poetry together, okay? So that's 2 days. On Wednesday, we have a Bible day. And so this is one of the products that we would use. That's a Thinking Tree product for our Bible day. There's also a couple of other ones, but my kids have them somewhere, so I will post those for you. There was another Bible reader that they use, but this is one that we do together as a family. And even though it's made for younger kids, I love it because of the word studies. So what we would do and how we would incorporate all 3 of my children with their varying ages is as follows. So my youngest child is going to read this with us together. Go to this page. So she would read it with us. We would all read it together, and we would talk about whatever it is, whether it's a verse or a psalm for that day, and we would talk about how it makes us feel. How do they feel when they hear that? What do they think it means? So we would talk about it. After we're done talking about it, they go off and they do their own thing, whichever level they are at. For my youngest, that would mean continuing on with the book, coloring it in, coloring in again, and coloring in her words as we read it again. And that's basically how it would stay for her. I might get her to do the copy work if she's up for it, but I don't push. For my middle child, he would read it all with me. He would do the copy work. He would also take 2 of the words out of it and do the definitions and write those in his journal on a blank page. And for my oldest daughter, she would have the most level of work to do. We would, of course, be reading it together as a group, and then she would branch off and she would do the definitions of at least 4 words within it. If it's a shorter one and she can't do 4, then that's totally fine. But I like to try and get her to do 4. So she would do 4 definitions. Then she would pick a couple of words to find other words for in her thesaurus. And from there, she would write down what she feels this means. So she would have a lot more work to do with the book. So you can kind of see how we can take this and use it together as a family, but each child still gets their level of learning from it. So this would be for that day. So far, we've got Monday is spelling time, Tuesday is your poetry reading, and Wednesday is Bible day. We would also, after this, be doing Bible reading together and various Bible type things that we have. We've got a bunch of printouts and different things like that, okay? So now we are getting to our Thursday, which is our 4th day of the week, which would wrap up our, I guess you could call it our strict, though it's not strict, but our breakdown that we utilize, and that is a creative writing day. And so these are some of the products that my children have. This is my son's. So he's got the adventure journal. So because he is a reluctant reader, will probably be using the first half of this whole book as copywork mainly. And our hope is that for the rest of the book, he'll be able to write his own little things as he gets more comfortable with it, because he's got beautiful handwriting, beautiful handwriting. So that would be for him. So on that day, they would again do 3 to 5 pages out of their main journal, and then they would pull out whichever book they wanted to do that day. Whether my daughter wanted to do poetry writing, she could even do multiple ones. It's totally up to her. These are just some of the books that we have available for her, and she would create a story. She would write a story. She would also, from that story, she would do definitions of certain words. She would use her thesaurus skills to find some different ways to say regular words, and try different things out like that. And that kind of a thing for my daughter would easily be like an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the story she was creating. Okay, for my son, he would, like I said, be doing copywork. So I would just choose something, whether it be from a story or from, it could even be like a poem book, it could be something out of one of his truck books, and have him do copywork of a page. And though he has great handwriting, he's also a bit slow when it comes to writing. So for him, copywork of about, say, 10 to 12 sentences will take him about an hour. And from there, we will talk about the different words that he doesn't know, maybe some definition work in there, and that would round out our language arts for that day. So I hope that helps. That puts us at Monday spelling time, Tuesday poetry, Wednesday Bible, and Thursday creative writing. And then of course that 5th day was all the extra books that they could choose what they wanted to do that day. So that's how we use multiple books to solidify a love of language arts in our home. And that's all with Thinking Tree products. Now, something I will add to this, which is separate from language arts, if I can find where I put it, of course. It's my fault, I got all these piles, is we also have reading time. And so my daughter, my daughter will read books constantly. And so reading time is a main book for her, where she fills in every single book after she's read it. And what kind of things does she read? She reads everything. She reads Nancy Drew, she reads historical books, she reads fiction, she reads a very wide array of books, and every time she finishes a book, she fills it in here. I have a video on this one. I suggest watching that if you've not heard of this before. It is a fantastic book, allowing kids to keep a record of the books that they read, and you can do in these spaces, I talk about it in my video, you can do vocabulary and dictionary work and all sorts of stuff, okay? So that's also part of it. And she averages 3 to 4 books a week. So she'll be filling that in pretty quickly and having multiple copies of that throughout the year. And then depending on if I think that there's a certain topic in the language arts cloud that I think my daughter needs a little extra work on, or my son, or my youngest daughter, then I will focus on that, and I will get them a book specific to that issue so that they can get a little bit of help on it. So for example, I picked up this for my son because he needs a little extra work on his phonics. And so this is a book that he will do. He will end up doing 2 pages out of this book after he does 3 to 5 pages out of his journal. And he'll do that every single day. Okay? And this is something that will only last as long as the book does. And once he's got it, we move on. And then maybe he doesn't need to have extra books in there like that, and he can just continue on with just his journal. But if I see my children are having a little bit of an issue with a certain topic, that's what I will do. I also picked up this one because he is a reluctant writer/reader. And so a book like this is going to help him come out of that, because he has to read all sorts of different things and write all sorts of different things. So this is just something extra that I throw in there if I see some issues with a certain topic. That way I can help my child. So there, That is language arts in our household. I hope that you get some ideas off this video, and I will quickly go ahead and make the next one, which will be math, and from there we will also do a science video. So yeah, first and foremost though, guys, I know this is at the end of the video. To say first and foremost doesn't make sense, but that's okay. Is there's no wrong way to utilize Thinking Tree products, and there's no wrong way to teach your children, as long as they are learning and you can see that they're starting to grasp it, even if it's slowly, then you're on the right track and you can take solace in that. My son is going into grade 3 and is still a reluctant reader, and there are children that are his age and even younger that are reading and writing better than he is. But I'm not worried about it. And the reason I'm not worried about it is because once he accepts how fun reading is and starts to really enjoy that, he is going to go from reluctant to bam in a very short period of time, and he's going to figure it out. So I'm not going to worry about it right now. He's doing fine. My daughter was a reluctant reader in grade 1 and part of grade 2. She wanted to read, that was the difference, but she couldn't quite grasp certain things. She went from grade 2 to 5, and she is now reading at a high school level. So try not to worry if your children don't seem to be where you think they might be. They will get there. Just keep giving them great resources to use and be there for them, and they will start to succeed. So that's it. That's all I have to say about language arts. I hope this helps. Let me know if you have any questions below. And yes, make sure you check out www.funsschoolingbooks.com to see the whole library of Thinking Tree products. And as for these and the other kind of books I showed you that were not Thinking Tree products, I grab all mine off of Amazon. So you can do that as well. Thanks for watching.